From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. Coming up on today's show, the roster mostly set. It's not entirely impressive. So what is the plan for 26? Is there anything FSU can emulate from the teams who played last night? And will there be a true quarterback competition for the first time in a long time? Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. CumminsLifestyle. It's the mailbag show, everybody. Let's give somebody a chance to win the ultimate tailgate. 20 folks. It's going down. Home game, your choice, 2026 season. You just got to make the cut. You got to be subscriber to warchant.com. Get involved in the mailbag, generating discussion. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source, part of the On3 network. I'm just going to go ahead and keep saying it until corporate tells me to stop. But the transfer portal special, 50% off, annual membership. Take advantage, everybody. Get all the access you want. Warchant.com, On3, Rivals, and a year subscription to The Athletic. That's right. All for one low price, 50% off. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminoles sports source. After all, everybody, we come to you. I'm not sure how we're going to be feeling by the time everybody hears us, Corey, because either our arch rival is going to win their 6th national title, or a team that has absolutely no business being in the rarefied air of having won a national title. We're going to have to live in a world where the University of Indiana possibly, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, Corey, but they're going to have won as many national titles as Florida State in this century, in this millennia. I don't like the way that sits either. So I don't know how I'm even going to be feeling right now when everybody listens to this, but I'm here for you, my friend. I'm ready to have a good show.
I mean, I know it's a technicality, but technically Peter Warwick caught that pass in the end zone against Virginia Tech in the year 2000.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to, they hoisted a trophy. So they've hoisted 2 crystal ball trophies this millennium, if that makes you feel any. I think, right? If you did 2000, that counts. We turned into the, I remember I was at Y2K. Next thing I know, I'm in New Orleans watching Peter Warwick dominate the Hokies. So, so I think that counts. It's still 2-1. But yeah, it's what this sport is. Either Miami out of nowhere, which is crazy too, or Indiana. Both kind of out of nowhere considering where these programs have been the last 25 years.
So since we don't have a recap synopsis for you, let's start the mailbag off with some IU-UM content, Corey. Our guy, Island Chief, he took your advice and he put some money on the Canes straight up. But he did it in an effort to jinx them. He doesn't want the money.
Right.
He just wants the jinx to have gone in effect. Of the 2 teams who play for the national title game on Monday, Corey, which offers a blueprint for us, Florida State, for future success that we can replicate most effectively?
I
feel like Miami would be if Sarah Blakely knew a coach and was like, all right, hire this guy. I will give you $36 million over the next 3 years to figure it all out. Like on top of rev share. Like, right. Mark Cuban kind of feels like that's the kind of the model, if you will, that's going on. Or rather, that's what's going on in Miami. That's what Florida State could replicate. It's like the Moss brothers. Mario's their guy. Hire Mario. We'll give him all the money he needs to like build a winner. Or I don't know, man. Like I don't know if we have a Mark Cuban leveled leverage booster that would just be like, yeah, man. Like I'll stroke $5 million to rugby one year. I'll stroke $4 million to diving the next. And football, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, I'm good in perpetuity pretty much because I've stepped away from the Mavericks. I need a new team to be the face of it. That's the bummer, man, of knowing what happened and how those 2 teams got to where they are. And I know you said you don't think NIL is as big of a deal for Indiana as it is for Miami, but I reading some of the stuff that's been out there, it feels like they were really given a lot of leverage going into this season to get who they wanted. Listen, Fernando Mendoza ain't cheap. I don't know if he was Carson Beck level money, but he's definitely more than still low 7 figures, but he's beyond $1 million. So I don't know who's out there. I don't know what from those 2 teams that we've saw that we can replicate. Is there anything you think?
Well, yeah, I do think Miami's. Look, man, I think Indiana is Indiana at least these last 2 years because of the coach. I think Cignetti is one of one. He's a unicorn. He's really, really good. I don't know that anybody thinks Mario Cristobal is an incredible football coach. He's got some strengths, clearly, but I wouldn't think you'd look at him and be like, this is one of the best head coaching jobs that's ever been done. This is a guy that's on the Mount Rushmore of great coaches. I think after 2 years, Cignetti is flirting with that, with what he's done at a place that's never won. And those first 2 years, again, they weren't breaking the bank on NIL. They weren't going and getting an all-star team from across the country. People listen to this haven't heard of any of those guys on defense. And that's the reason they were in the game on Monday night, was because how great their defense was. Mendoza's a big ticket item, sure. But, it wasn't like they just outspent. That's why I think Miami, because it's not solely related to the head coach, in my opinion. If Mario Cristobal can have a team this good, then other teams around the country can. I just think Indiana, it's like one of one. You can't judge yourself on what Indiana's doing because you're not going to have Cignetti. You're not going to have anything closest to as good as Cignetti. But you could, in the future, have a head coach that's as good and a fan base that's much better than what's going on at the University of Miami. That's my opinion anyway.
Okay. All right. We go to WAC 169. It says, good morning, guys. You don't have to select my question for the Cummins Prize. I don't know if that's like reverse psychology, but he tells us why not. I'm not going to read the reason. I think it's a little bit sad. If you're a member of warchant.com, you can go read it, though. Anyhow, my question to you guys is, do you think it would help if the Battle's End, which seems to be involved again, just came out and said at the beginning of the calendar year how much was needed to collect? I have a feeling that if they gave a goal of some number, it would help fans. I know it would help me. I mean, do we need 5, 20 million? I honestly think that if someone could come out and totally be honest about how much and where it's going, it would help. Or do you think the number is so large that many fans would be like, well, what's the difference that I could make with my $1,000 per year? Corey, let me know if you want to get a drink and dinner when you come to Louisville, as my wife and son would love to meet you. My treat.
Oh, there you go. That's nice. I would definitely be up to meeting out somewhere whenever. I'm sure that'll be a Friday night game, so it'd have to be Thursday night. We'll see. But yeah, man, remind me when we get closer to that game. I can at least tell you where me and the wife will be if you want to come and say hello. But no, you don't have to buy me dinner. Gene Williams buys me dinner.
That's right.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory because it's like, I guess you do it like one of those when they're trying to save the rec center or something, and you have the
GoFundMe.
You also have the sign out front.
Oh,
it's like a rising thermometer.
Yeah. I got you. I know.
And you're halfway home. You're 2/3 the way, and then the kids will have a place to go after school. Maybe you could do that, something outside of Moore or Doak. The goal, but yeah, I think it's always going to be
spirit spear
fluid.
back, Corey. Bring the spirit spear back and just have it outside Doak and have it show where the funds are and where it needs to go.
That's perfect. And it's something that it's visual. People like to see things. You get an idea how close you are. And whatever that number is, it's going to be kind of gross, though. That's the problem. You got to get over the initial sticker shock of whatever they're asking for and then go from there. But yeah, sure. It probably makes, but also how would they know? How would they know in August what they're going to need in December? Because it seems like nobody has any idea or clue what these numbers and contracts are going to be from season to season. So, that would probably work. This thing needs to get restructured, or I just feel like I wonder why people would give the Seminole boosters instead of paying for the players. You know what I mean? Like I there's too many competing, and they're not competing as in they're enemies, but like this is something I've wondered about when Rising Spear was still a thing. Is why would Rising Spears or Battle's End is asking for money, and the Seminole boosters are asking for money? Well, who would you rather give your money to? What's more important to the football team? And I think there are a lot of people that would rather just solely give their money to Battle's End. There's also plenty of people I think that would rather just give it to Seminole boosters than paying some guard to come play here for a year. Yep. But, there's two different entities asking for your money from the Florida State fans. So I don't know what the best tact is. It would be nice to just have a huge benefactor.
Yeah. The problem, too, though, is if you outline a goal, then everybody knows in that locker room what the money is, right? I mean, to a certain extent, they know obviously what rev share is, but if you're the Desirs or you're player Y, in the offseason of the 2026 offseason, and you know that Battle's End had, $13.5 million of revenue generated, you can be like, well, hey, like, I want 1.2. You guys got 13 million. You have to give me all of it. I just want 1.2. Then you get $12 million. You can spread it whoever else you want. So that's probably not a good idea either. But none of this feels good. But you guys didn't ask that. Let's go to Tub Butter. What a name. Second all-time post. Morning, gentlemen. I was more surprised with Deuce Robinson coming back than I was with Jared Verse, simply because Verse knew he was coming back to an elite group. That being said, with Deuce announcing his return, do you think he was included on any quarterback decisions? Are we getting to a point in college sports where players are part of the acquisition process? Would coaches go to a high-caliber player and ask their opinion on a target? If we aren't there yet, I don't think we are far away.
Yeah, I would think that. I don't know if it happened with Deuce. They might have asked him. I doubt it. Because I don't think Malzahn is the kind of coach that would be like, hey, Deuce, come here. What do you think of this guy? Can you play? He doesn't strike me as someone that would care all that much about what a 21-year-old thinks of who he's bringing in at quarterback. Also, Deuce had already committed to come back. So that, once he's already committed to come back, I don't know that you go. Like, if you're trying to entice him to come back, maybe you say, hey, what about this guy or this guy or this guy? But I don't think it doesn't sound like he was included on any conversations about who would they bring in. They might have asked him, though, legitimately about what he thought of Sperry after catching passes and playing and practicing with him, more playing with him, but practicing with him for, I guess, 5 months. What did he think of Sperry? I could see them asking him because he played. I mean, my man played with Caleb Williams, played with who was the guy at USC, the quarterback there, and then played with Tommy. Like, he's seen all kinds of quarterbacks. So his opinion, I think, would be a good one for somebody like Sperry, for sure.
That'd be wild. I think you'd ask a quarterback his feelings about a receiver. I don't know if the other way would work around, but clearly Deuce is a huge part of their plans for this upcoming season. I mean, God love him, man, for, sitting down either New Year's Eve, maybe a day or two before New Year's Eve to knock out some content with, the in-house media department so they can announce his return to get things going right as the portal was about to open up and the new year turns. And then to make him available, pretty much, I think, in under 48 hours notice, like, oh, hey, we're going to make him available for comment to talk about his return when we didn't know what was going to happen with the Desirs. We didn't know what was going to happen with the end of the portal. Them obviously going again, that top quarterback from JUCO. So he's special, man. So I would not have a problem going to him and getting his thoughts on, should we pursue this player? Should we not pursue that player? Because they're putting a lot on his shoulders. So I don't know, though. I think the Sperry thing makes the most sense. It feels like, though, Corey, like you said, if anything, it would be him. Yeah. Let's go back to the money thing here. Gio Noles says, wake up. There have been so many meh additions so far. Of course, the Twins, Deuce, Rawls, Barker coming back was great, but the portal additions, in my opinion, will all be a hope they are good, solid players. If you both had the money to help get whoever you wanted, where would you start? How much would you spend for one season? I can't even wrap my head around, like, what would, if I made $6 million, like on my W-2 this past year, like, I wonder how much of that obviously goes to taxes and such, like how much of that ends up getting into my hands, into my accounts. And then, like, am I always going to be making that? Like, can you tell me pretty much for the next 25 years, you're always going to be making $6 million and you're going to end up taking home, I don't know, two and a quarter or something like that. If I had that much, I don't know. If you get $2 million, I think like 200 grand's the most you would go up to doing. But if I had that money, where would I start? Quarterback, man. I would have started quarterback. I don't know, man. I would have liked to get my guy Calandra. I liked that guy 3 years ago when I saw him play for the first time. So I would have been like, let's just go for him, because everybody seemed to have wanted him. Like, he was not a backup option. He was not plan C, plan D. It felt like everybody within the department circled him as the top guy. So I would have started with quarterback, and I would give to the quarterback for one season.
Calandria is not a guarantee. Like, if I'm going to spend the real money on a quarterback, and I mean real money, like, half my salary, I want to guarantee that the guy's awesome. Calandria is not awesome. He could be in Gus's system, but he's not a surefire Sam Levitt type. So
Mensa.
That's what
Mensa.
Or a Mensa,
Yeah.
the great Mensa. That would be my issue with Calandria. Is like, I don't know how much better he is than Daniels or sophomore Kevin Sperry, for that matter. He's just not a guarantee. And so that's where I would struggle with that. Look, honestly, looking at the way Gus is going to run the offense, and we all know that he doesn't need an exceptional quarterback, an NFL quarterback. He just doesn't ever get them. Although he's got Stidham playing in the AFC Championship game.
That's right.
There you go. And Bo Nix, two of his former guys were on that Broncos team, and Bo Nix, of course, broke his ankle on a scramble, on a design run, which was crazy. But yeah, so I would go get two really good defensive linemen. I would go do the Texas Tech route. If I was giving money, I have no idea what that would cost. Oh, I do kind of. So do with this what you will, but have you been keeping up with the Clemson saga with that linebacker from Cal?
No.
So his name is Fernelli, I think, Justin Fernelli, but he was the ACC. I'm pretty sure he's the ACC Rookie of the Year defensively. So he had to have been good, right, to beat out Mandrell Desir. But he committed to Clemson. He signed with Clemson. He was enrolled at Clemson and participating in team meetings. And then last Friday, the Friday before the portal closed, he told Dabo he was entering the portal. And I read a story on one of the Clemson On 3 site that said they didn't have the exact number, but they said his NIL contract was between $800,000 and $1 million. But they said that Ole Miss came in and swooped. So Clemson's story is that Ole Miss was tampering, clearly, because they tampered him to get back in the portal, and now he's committed to Ole Miss. Ole Miss didn't offer him more money. They offered him another year. They offered him an extra year. So I guess technically they did offer him more money. And so he entered the portal and is now at Ole Miss. So tough break for Clemson and Dabo because apparently he hadn't signed his NIL contract yet.
That's their fault then, man.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. But they say they have concrete proof of tampering and that they're going to try, I don't know, go to Wapner, Judge Judy, whoever adjudicates these cases, and try to get Ole Miss in trouble for tampering, but which won't happen, obviously. But yeah, so if that guy who was an all ACC caliber linebacker, important position, also young, so you think you're getting him for multiple years, if he's $800,000 to $1 million, if that's the going rate, then yeah, I would go get two of those type impact players and make them sign their NILs before he was enrolled. He was going to class apparently, and then decided the Friday before it ended to hop in the portal.
Luke Ferrelli.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Finally found it. Poor Dabo's just like, this is why. This is why I didn't want to get involved in this.
Yeah.
You guys made me. We don't make you do anything you don't want to do on the show. We just recommend some things. Like going to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Going down later today, trivia night, 7 p.m. Before that, obviously lunch special from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Go on your lunch break, possibly. Get a delicious bite to eat. It is Tuesday. Tacos on the menu, everybody. Ice cold drinks, billiards, darts, jukebox. Thursday night, bingo night. Bring your dauber. $1,000 up for grabs throughout the night. $250 in 4 different rounds. All at one place. Live music on the weekends. The best place to catch any game that's on. What do we do now? We got championship weekend and the Super Bowl. And then, I don't know, I guess the Lakers. Hopefully the Lakers can get things figured out, Core. That's all I got.
Florida State baseball. You can go watch Florida State baseball at Corner Pocket. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. That's right. Bill loves you, everybody. He'll take care of you. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
In Crawfordville, your home convenience store is Ace Home Center and NAPA Auto Parts, located at 2709 Crawfordville Highway. We are back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins, CumminsLifestyle. Follow it on Instagram. _Aaron P _, which I know people don't like when I say the punctuation out loud, but that's what it was. Morning, fellas. He was the guy who, for the longest time, was listening, but then he finally subscribed. To answer your question, Corey, there's nothing that you finally said to get me off the bench and onto the boards. I just figured I'd been procrastinating from joining long enough, and it was time to see what the hype was about. So far, so good.
There we go. Nice. Good work.
Ringing endorsement, 50% off an annual membership. Everybody get involved. I don't even think poor Aaron was able to take advantage of that offer. Sorry, Aaron. Back to business, though. Feels like John Garrett, Mike Norvell are building a roster designed to avoid total collapse, not one designed to dominate the ACC and beat elite teams in December and January. That works when everything breaks right, but it also means when it does not, you're stuck hoping for development as we finish another disappointing year and head into a new season. Right now, this roster still feels like one that needs everything to go right to break past 8 or 9 wins. That's a dangerous place to live in a no-cap era, especially when your head coach's buyout makes thoughts of change more of a theological discussion rather than a practical one.
Yeah,
I never heard that used before. We often hear politicians and CEOs speak of 5-point plans to get things back on track. What is our 5-point plan here? More appropriately, what is John Garrett's 5-point plan? To quote Michael Scott, it's a 45-day plan. 45 days to get us back on track. 45 points. It's a 45-day, 45-point. 1 point per day, we get 45 points. We're back in business.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's a good question. Look, I do think they're going to give. We've heard they're going to give him more staff. They're going to really invest in the scouting department and the general manager John Garrett department. Because that is the future of the sport, in my opinion, is the scouting. Obviously, scouting high school, scouting the portal. You've got to be better at it than Florida State's been. And the thought is, I don't think they would fire Garrett if Norvell was fired. Like, there is a chance, probably a decent one, that if things go sideways and they go, 5-7, 6-6, and they've decided it's enough, I do think they would keep Garrett around and maybe keep his department around, especially if they seem to be doing well on the recruiting front with high school kids. So, because again, you look around, like the Bills just fired their coach, but the GM's still there. So that might just happen. This might not be a one-off for John Garrett. So yeah, I think you've got to invest in that department. You've got to get smart people to work for him. And he's got to have, whether it's a 5-point plan or a 45-point plan, he's got to have a plan, high school-wise and portal-wise, to get this roster back to where it is, because that's an astute point, Aslan. This isn't a roster that's probably going to go deep into January.
No, sir.
You're trying to look for a stopgap roster. You just want a roster that's not an embarrassment, and that can get you to a bowl, which is sad to say, but when you've not been to a bowl 4 out of 6 years, right now you're just looking for bowl, and then you go from there. And I think they do think this roster, and I do too, as it's currently constructed. We'll see how injury goes and luck and all that nonsense and how they. But I do think it's a roster that's good enough to get you to 8 wins. But you're right, that's not a lot of wiggle room if you have a couple of bad breaks like you did this past year. An 8-win or 9-win team can go to 5 wins real quick. So that's where they are, though. They do not have a roster, I don't think, that is capable of playing with these with these big boy schools and these big boy rosters for next season. But it could be good enough to get you to 8 wins, maybe get you to Charlotte if things really break right, and you go from there.
5-point plan, though. I wonder. Starts a quarterback. I don't want to put too much pressure on Kevin Sperry, but that's the flavor du jour or whatever in terms of some sort of reason for hope or belief, whatever, hopium, copium, whatever you want to call it. But, they need to identify a quarterback because I don't think they need to identify a quarterback out of high school, because I don't know if they're going to have the budget to ever go get a completely proven, close to bulletproof quarterback. And I don't even know if Carson Beck really was that.
What about this, Aslan? I was thinking about this. So let's say Sperry is a good player and is good this next year. He wins the job. They go 9-3. He's all ACC second team, and he's coming back for another year. Also, if you go 9-3, Let's miracle it out.
Hey, there's a question. There's a question that's got that. Noel Tiggety, Corey says.
Oh, okay, all right.
If we got 7 or 8 wins with one of the 2 young quarterbacks, Sperry or Malachi Marshall starting, you also know you'd retain the DeSears, Kevin Wynn, Danzy, Chroma, maybe Chris Jones, few defensive backs that perform well, and a few quality offensive linemen. How would you feel going into 2027? Is that where you're about to take us, Corey? It feels like that's where you're about to take us.
It was, but in a different, kind of a different path, though. But if there are no rules in place, and if there are no financial governors on these schools right now, well, again, Miami's made upwards of $20 million for their playoff run. They get to keep it all. If you have a season, and I know this is a big if and a dream, but if you have a big season and you get to the playoffs and win a couple of games, I'm not predicting that. I don't think Kevin Sperry can do that, but maybe Kevin Sperry begets the next quarterback that can do that. Maybe he gets you to good enough, and then people want to come play for him. And in the 2027 season, you do that. You do have an 11-win season. You win the ACC. You win a couple of playoff games. Well, that's an extra $18 million plus what we haven't ever factored in, and we should start factoring in here soon, is what about the ratings? I don't know, the ratings bonus. Yeah. That Florida State, I have to imagine, made some money this year on ratings. Don't know how much, but they made some money with the ratings bonus. So maybe that's an extra $8 to $10 million on top of. So now you're working with $30 million extra dollars, or 35, or 50, who knows? That's not chunk. That's real money, and that can all be, as it is right now, that could all be thrown back into your roster. You just need a good season. You don't need a great season, but you need a good season to get people back from hopeful to realistically hopeful. You know what I mean? And I think John Garrett's 5-point plan, quarterback is absolutely it. And I do like the fact, the more I think about it, is if one of these 2 young guys is good, if it's Daniels, fine, whatever, then you have to hit the reset button. If Daniels ends up being your starter, then you essentially have to go get a new quarterback every year again. But if it is Sperry or the Marshall kid, the JUCO kid, then you've got at least 2 years of that. And that's really good news. If they're good. You know what I mean? If they're good and you get multiple years of a good starting quarterback, that's the plan. And I think that's what their plan was why are we going to go spend and give, let's say, DJ Lagway $3.5 million? I'm making up these numbers, folks. When he's only going to be here for a year no matter what, and he's not that good, when we think Kevin Sperry might be the guy, and he's a lot more
affordable.
A lot less costly than Lagway. And if he doesn't work out, then at least Daniels is a good stopgap. Or the Marshall kid, who's probably not getting a huge bonus as a JUCO kid. Give these 2 guys every opportunity to win the job. So then you have your own guy. Because like you said, Aslan, you're probably not going to go be able to afford the big $7 million quarterback.
Yeah.
But you can go develop your own. And but you're right. It's putting a lot of pressure on Sperry to be that guy. But that to me looks like the plan is, let's not go crazy at the quarterback position. If Gus and Deuce and Norvell and whoever else are telling John Garrett, yeah, man, we like Sperry. He's going to have some growing pains because it's his first year starting, but he's the real deal. He might be the future. Let's give him a chance. That might be the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 points of that plan.
What I will give them credit for is identifying the DeSears, keeping them, retaining them, because if we want to talk about looking at what all the other teams in the playoff have, what they did, what's sustainable, what Florida State could possibly do to clone and replicate it, Corey. Like you mentioned, Texas Tech, like take a page out of their playbook, go get defensive linemen, get Lee Hunter, get David Bailey, get those like really big, impactful guys. Or you look at Miami, some of that's homegrown, Mesidor, Bain, those kind of guys. They do invest on the defensive line, right? I mean, like Wynn and the DeSears, I'm going to guess, Corey, those 3 guys are probably making more than $2.2 million combined this coming season. That's a lot of money.
Well, yes, probably. I mean, I don't know if it's probably close to that though, right? The DeSears especially, they deserve money. They deserve a big raise.
So, like, they got one part of that equation solved. So, like, if they're going to build from the inside out, like, all right, we need to own and win lines of scrimmage. I don't know if those three guys are enough to say that, like, you're going to, but at least it's kind of like a step in the right direction. And I don't know, the offensive line, like, just Herb Hand should be maybe your highest paid assistant coach. Like, let him work miracles. Let him go find guys in the bargain bin. And maybe that'll be good enough to get the offense at a certain clip. But you need to figure out, like, one of those. We need to be elite on some level of the line of scrimmage. Is it going to be the offensive line or the defensive line? I don't know if Florida State, again, has enough money to be elite on both. I don't think they probably don't need an offensive line to be elite, but it would help when you get in December and you got to start pushing and moving people around rather than trying to, gimmick everything up. Otherwise, I don't know, man. They also need to probably, access the way or, let the Battle's End do what they're doing in terms of, like, we'll identify a smaller portion of, like, elite people that goes beyond rev share to help you out with and get those players kind of cinched up. But a lot of it's got to come down to value. They've got to find guys. They've got to, the guy they got from ECU, like that tight end. If he can give you what Randy Pittman gave you, like those are the things I think you need to probably to get to a point where you're winning 10 games and you're competing for this conference championship. I don't know if that's going to be national title stuff, Corey, but like they on the edges, I think they can probably find guys that give them the same level of production that they thought they were going to get out of a guy like Squirrel White or Randy Pittman at a much lower price point.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to Herb Hand, this is going to be an interesting year for me with my regard for him. He did a fine job with a bunch of 22, 23-year-old veterans. And it looks like they've loaded him up with 5 more guys that have played a lot of football. But are any of the guys that were here when he got here going to be developed into starters?
No.
Is that even a remote possibility? Or is this the rule of law as long as Malzahn and Hand are here, is you have to go get guys out of the portal every year to be your offensive lineman because you can't develop any that are here or recruit anybody to be good enough to play here. That's kind of what I want to see. You talk about the line of scrimmage. Yeah, man, that's a big part of it. The teams that played on Monday night, very physical, a lot of homegrown too. And can Florida State get back to that where they're home growing their best players on both sides of the ball, but especially at the offensive line? Can you get some guys and make them your own, like develop them, and don't have to go in the portal and get a 22-year-old from wherever? But you got a guy that you've developed for 2 years that's now ready to take over and has a chance to be an NFL player. I know it's just 1 year in with Herb Hand, but I do want to see, is Thompson going to start at center? Is Otto anything? Is anybody else anything that he took over for? Or are they just going to have to keep using and replacing?
Let's go to J Lowry 19. Wake up, as Corey wrote about, which we didn't mention at all earlier in the show, Corey, but you did write about the fact that FSU's flooded the quarterback room with a bunch of potentials. While that makes me feel like we were playing spades, I got 3 and a P. I used to play spades a long time ago.
Yep.
It's good times. Something tells
3
me
and
Mike
a probable. 3 definites and a probable.
Oh, yeah. While this makes me feel like we're playing spades, something tells me Mike and Gus already know. Do you agree that this staff is going into the season with Sperry penciled in as a starter, with these others all fighting to be the just in case? I do. I believe that's why Kevin Sperry never had his name on portal documents. But Tony G from DB basically asked the same question, Corey, and he did it like 5 hours prior, and he's been around a year longer. So we're going to take Tony's question, and we are going to be generating some discussion. It is sparked by Cummins. The cameras are on. Corey, you know what to do. Man, you look jacked, brother. Just, don't be too hard on the generator. Oh, wait, no sound. Just push the button. There he pushes by. It's generating discussion. It is sparked by Cummins. The ultimate giveaway is the ultimate tailgate for you folks. This season, that's what the prize is for our winners. They'll all be entered to a drawing at the end of the year. 20 people at a tailgate. You and all your friends, bring them on out. Hotel room accommodation set up for you at Hotel Indigo for the game weekend. Food, drink, bartender, tables, chairs. They're going to set everything up. They're going to tear everything down. You can go watch the game, go back to your nice, comfortable room at the Hotel Indigo as well. All because you're a member of warchant.com and you asked a pretty good question and you happen to be the name that the wheel of names landed on. What are y'all waiting for? Here's Tony G's delivery of the similar question about Sperry. Corey, do you believe that Mike and Gus will have a real open quarterback competition for the starting spot, or will they anoint another quarterback like they've done the last 2 years?
Yeah, I think they will anoint one eventually. That's how it works. But I don't think Ashton Daniels or Sperry are coming into the spring thinking they're for sure the guy, because they're not. Either one of them. Neither one of them have done enough to be like, oh, yeah, you're the unquestioned starter. Last year, you had Castellanos, who had 2 years of experience, going up against Brock Glenn and a true freshman. So it was obviously Tommy's job. And the year before, it was DJ going up against a true freshman and somebody else. So Cromanhawk. So a redshirt Brock Glenn and a true freshman again. Brock Glenn. And so it was clearly DJ's job. That's not this. This is going to be a legitimate QB competition, in my opinion. They might want Sperry to be the guy, but if Ashton Daniels outplays them, then it'll be Ashton Daniels. They don't have enough skin in either one of those games to just be like, yes, we're giving the job to Kevin or we're giving the job to Ashton. It's going to be whoever wins the job, which I think is very good for the offense as a whole. Because you want real competition. You don't want somebody to be handed the job. They might have an idea who they want to run it, but let's see how it looks in practice come, I guess the middle of March when they start spring practice. I do think it'll be a legitimate QB competition. I do think that both guys have, I don't know, man, maybe it's 55-45 Sperry because he's been here for a year. But, yeah, man, it's going to be whoever plays the best this spring and then in the first 3 weeks of August will win the job. I don't think they have any thought, preconceived notion of who the starting quarterback is going to be. They might have a hope, but it's going to play out on the field.
Do you think they told each of these guys pretty much the same thing? Like, do you think they told Ashton Daniels when he showed up on his visit, like, we've looked at your film, if you play as good as we think you're capable of playing, you will win the job. You will be the best man for this job. Do you think they look at Kevin Sperry or like, Kevin, we're telling you the same thing we just told Ashton? If you play your best football, you will be the best option for us. You will be the starting quarterback. Or do you think there's a little bit of a different message they're, I don't want to say feeding, but they're communicating to both those guys?
Yeah, I do think I think they both told him the same thing, that it's your job. You have a chance to win the job. You're coming in to compete. You are not going to be promised this job. Sperry can't be thinking that they have all the confidence in him because they went and got 3 other quarterbacks. But clearly Ashton Daniels can't think that he's the guy because he knows about Sperry, and then they went and got 2 other guys on top of him. So no, they have to know it's a real competition. Against Alabama, he had 367 total yards, something like that, 365 or 367. You know how many other quarterbacks this year had that many yards against the Alabama defense in 2025? 0. Nobody. And they faced the guys that finished first and second in the Heisman. So when he's playing well in running the ball and capable of running the ball, yeah, man, he's a decent enough to good maybe college quarterback, especially in Gus's system. But maybe Sperry is a star. And that's what you don't know. It's the thrill of the unknown when it comes to Sperry. Like maybe he's just an untapped Johnny Manziel. I only say Johnny Manziel not because he's white, everyone. It's because he's from Texas and an athlete. But even still, but yeah. So I think that's the Ashton Daniels is a really nice fallback plan is probably too dismissive, but he's a really nice person to have in the room in case Sperry doesn't work out. But Sperry clearly they can't think that Sperry is absolutely going to win the job. They got to go earn it. Sperry's accomplished nothing. He might not be any good. I don't think he's the next A.J. Duffy, but who knows? How would we know? We've seen him throw 14 passes. Well, those 14 passes told us he's better than A.J. Duffy, but still, the point remains, we don't know if he's a legitimate Division I college caliber starting quarterback in a Power 4 conference. Ashton Daniels has proven to be kind of that. So it'll be a real competition. I don't know if we'll get to watch spring practice this year. It's kind of a bummer because I think that'd be a fun competition to watch, but it will be a real competition.
The weirdest thing is what could have derailed Florida State the most for the future from 2025 was that the Wake Forest game was sandwiched between a bye and that Stanford loss. Because imagine if they would have had to start Sperry against Wake Forest the next, because I don't think there's any way Tommy would have cleared concussion protocol, right? But with that extra week, he was able to then return the following game against Wake Forest, and then they absolutely light Wake Forest on fire. Like, imagine if Sperry would have had to start that game and they win, I don't know, 35-13. Like, well, maybe we roll with this guy the rest of the year. Like, you have a much better, clearer understanding, clearer picture of what he can be, but we didn't get that opportunity, Corey. And then lastly, how do you factor in Malachi Marshall then, the junior college quarterback? He's not enrolling until June. Listen, we know he runs a very similar offense. Gus's whole thing is, listen, Tommy was running a pro-style offense, and Chestnut Hill comes down to Tallahassee and absolutely bullies Alabama in week 1. So you can pick this thing up pretty quickly. How do you think that factors into the quarterback competition? How can you have a quarterback competition truly with 3 guys when one of them is showing up, 5 months late, if you will?
Look, he'll be behind the 8 ball in a big way. That's not against the rules. He can do that. He might be awesome, and he's like undeniable, and they have to go play him. But that's really his only hope. When you're coming in and you don't get a spring at all, so you don't get to your first impression is going to be the first day of fall camp. You're gonna have to hit the ground in a dead sprint to have any chance, because Sperry's a talented kid, and I think Ashton Daniels has some talent to him too, with a ton of experience. So there's going to be some, obviously some major advantages that those guys have, plus the running ability that I don't know that Marshall has, certainly to the point of Daniels, I don't think, and I don't think Sperry either, that he's going to have to make up for it by being like otherworldly in those 3 weeks. But it's not out of the realm. Like, I don't know that going into last year, and I know it's a completely different position and probably a dumb comparison, I don't know that going into last year's spring practice, maybe even August 1st, they didn't know that the Desir brothers would play such a big factor in their offense. But you know what? They sure did. Now it's defensive line. It's not quarterback. It's a whole different skill set and position. But you can outperform your expectations. I think personally that Marshall is a guy that's brought here to potentially vie for the starting spot in 27.
Ugh.
If Kevin Sperry falls on his face, or if Ashton Daniels wins the job and has to leave, maybe Marshall is a guy that gets some time and shows that he can play. But there's also an avenue where he could play in 2026. And I want to make this point real quick, Aslan. The one good thing about having 3 quarterbacks like this, and 4 if you want to count the kid from Lafayette, is you are allowed to go be physical as a runner. And if you are dinged up, you can come out of the game, and there will be, you hope, a capable backup that can come in and run the offense. So you don't have to slide 2 yards short of a first down, or run out of bounds instead of getting it, or throw the ball away when you could have cut up field for 5. When you know you have a capable backup, or 2 or 3 behind you.
All right, that's a wrap for Generating Discussion sparked by Cummins. Shout out to Tony G from DB, our latest winner. He'll also get entered into a monthly drawing for a Cummins gift bag, but obviously that ultimate tailgate's what everybody wants. You can do it too, everybody. Just join warchant.com, Tribal Council, weekly mailbag show, Generating Discussion, Cummins Lifestyle, follow, do it all. We are back. It is Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins Lifestyle. We sort of got to it, I guess, a little bit, but I don't know if I want to be looking ahead already to 2028. If it was Sperry, Corey, and when we talked a lot about him previous segment, or Malachi Marshall, and you bring back Wynn, Desir, Danzy, Chroma, some of the guys on defense, coming off 8 wins going into 27 with that kind of nucleus, how good do you feel? Does that then become playoffs or bust?
Going into 28 or 27?
Going to 27, I'm sorry.
Yeah, man, sure. Yes, especially if you get what the Big 10 wants apparently and have a 2014 playoff. They want a 2014 playoff. The SEC wants a 12, so they're at an impasse. I assume they'll settle for 16, but we'll see. But can you imagine a 2014 playoff?
Yeah.
But yeah, yes, if you're still not even sniffing the playoffs after the 27 season, then what are you doing, man? We're not asking for a lot. I don't care if you make it or not. I mean, I do. I want Florida State to be in the playoff, but you've got to be in contention in this conference to be one of the 2 best teams in this conference. You've just got to be. And if you're not, obviously it's time for new leadership and time for a change, and maybe in a lot of different facets of how the program is run. But yeah, I mean that's a good look. Cromall, Danzy, again, shout out to Cromall. I'm sure it was part of his contract. That was smart, I guess, by the Battle's End or whoever, that he had either a 2-year contract or they kept him happy enough that he never dipped his toe in. But you do have some young pieces that are you should be excited about. And I am genuinely curious and kind of excited in a tempered sort of way. Let's see. They're bringing in 31 freshmen this year. Well, if we go just by this current staff's recent history with the freshmen they brought in, 7 to 10 of these guys will be able to play and help immediately. So that's good too. So I'm excited to see which of the 7 to 10 of these signees can actually play this year in 2026 and contribute, because there will be a few and guys to really get excited about. I want to see who those guys are.
That should have been part of the 5-point plan answer. They just need that. We also need like luck. Like we need Malachi Toney, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we need to find the kid that's not completely out of this world, stratospheric recruiting rating and going head to head with all these people. Like, can we get the kid that's going to play hoops a little bit? I think Lopez.
Yeah.
If he ends up being a nice slot receiver, for example, or I don't know, maybe he's part of the end around jet motion game that Gus likes so much. Like that would help, obviously, get a true freshman to help out. But to your point, man, like that's a reasonable expectation. Used to not be, but thank you, Gus. Thank you, Tony, for that. We go to Mark. We go to Naples. Wake up. We have to assume that FSU did the best they could in the portal, given whatever NIL budget they're working under. Probably did not help that John Garrett didn't have much time before the portal opened, but it is what it is. It feels like we're playing Oakland A's Moneyball going into 2026. New place for FSU to be. Comes back to the coaches, right? They are paid well. What's your gut feeling on whether the coaches can get this roster together in spring, get them to play above their skis as football players, improve even more in fall, and then go into 2026 like a wrecking ball with a chip on their shoulder? The disrespected former ACC powerhouse that is back for a serious revenge tour. Kind of seems that's what we're hanging our hats on, right? That's I don't know if I'm hanging my hat on that. That's one of the Hail Marys I would probably hope for. I mean, hanging the stopgap, right? Like whatever they were hoping 25 was going to be, that's what 26 has to be, man. It has to be 8 wins to, Noel Tickety's point, keep a good core of the people that were responsible for 8 wins, namely a quarterback, and then add some other surrounding pieces, win your conference, make it to the playoff. I mean, I this year, to think that this year is the playoff year, to me is just, I can't get behind it at all. I don't know when I even could, Corey. Like they'd have to be 7-0. They'd be like, all right, yeah, maybe we're finally going to do it.
Yeah, right. It'd have to be a great start, and it certainly wouldn't be because you beat Alabama and then beat 2 high school teams. That wouldn't be enough to get anybody excited. Even if they go on the road and beat Alabama, which is an enormous if, people will be like, all right, slow down. We've been here before. This coaching staff is not going to get any benefit of the doubt, nor should it. And I don't think they're going to care. Nobody on that staff, nobody in that locker room is going to care that this used to be a ACC juggernaut. None of them were here. None of them are Noles. They're here for paychecks. Now, they're also here for personal pride. Like they want to be on a good football team and they want to win football games. So it's not like it doesn't mean nothing if they win or not, but I don't know that it means much of anything if they win for Florida State. They just want to be on a good football team that wins. And that goes for everybody cashing a check from the coaching staff on down. They just want to win. Odell differently, but Odell's not an on-field coach anymore. I don't think. I don't know what his title is, but you get my point. Most of these people are mercenaries that are here for a paycheck and to here for their careers. You hope they, just like they are at Miami, by the way. You just hope that they I don't know, coalesce into a really good football team. But I don't think there's going to be any driving force subconsciously or otherwise, or bulletin board material or being disrespected that should matter to them at all. And I remember Justin Cryer after the Alabama game.
Oh yeah,
man. Yeah, where'd that go, Justin? Where'd that fight and
Austin,
disdain?
Texas.
Yeah, right. And where you lost, you went basically 2-7 after that. So you can sit up on a podium and tell us how you felt so disrespected and you showed the world and blah, 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 and mad at everyone for doubting you guys. Well, then you went and proved why everybody was right to doubt you. Got to be feeling way too good about yourself, and you just clearly weren't that talented to begin with. Not Justin particularly, just that football team. So whether they felt disdain or not going into that game, and that's what made them play hard, great. Where was that against Miami and Stanford and Florida? So, no, you just need better players. You need good players that play well together and that are well coached. That'd be nice too.
All right, mad dash to the finish line. Bakari, Big B's 7034. Wake up, fellas. Morning. Always appreciate the great work you both do. I think we already went over this, Bakari. If there's something I forgot, feel free to get us up to speed. His question was, new landscape of college football where programs who have historically done nothing, Indiana, Ole Miss, Texas Tech, is it sustainable? If so, what in your opinion does FSU need to do? There does not seem to be a Mark Cuban type benefactor to come and drop a bag for Florida State. So what in your opinion are some realistic things FSU can do to get and stay relevant? Thanks again, go Noles. I think we kind of touched on that.
Yeah, and look, the staying relevant, I do think Florida State's relevant just because of the name. Getting to be a good football program again, a good football team again. I mean, the easy answer, man, is just get better players. And I do think there is a world where not everybody that's in the playoff, the 12 teams that made the playoff this year weren't the 12 highest paid rosters. So that's not the end all be all. But yeah, you're going to have to find different ways to fundraise and compete financially. But also, you've got to trust the people that are paying the players in evaluating. And if you get the people, maybe Garrett's the guy. If you get the right people in that front, then you can compete with those types of teams. But yeah, I would. You've just got to get better people all around, including the evaluators, and you hope that Garrett is the start of that.
Noles Forever, August 1st, 2022, join date, 5th ever post.
Oh, all right.
I think it's the first time on the ponies. Welcome, Noles Forever. Wake up. Understand that football will get the majority of the revenue sharing. Do you ever envision a scenario where the other sports will get a higher percentage of what is left based on how well they perform, and lower performing sports will get lower amounts? I feel like, to his point, I think football's obviously locked into getting whatever 90% of the money. But I don't think it's going to be one of those, maybe like baseball and basketball kind of seesaw, based on like which one of those teams is coming off a better season or seems to have a better trajectory in the upcoming year. But like, I don't think we're ever going to be like, all right, golf, let's just go for it all. Or like, tennis. Sorry, Link. Sorry, Lonnie. We're going with tennis this year. They've had 3 straight ACC championships. You haven't made it past a regional. We're going to see what we can. I think it's always going to be obviously football and then maybe basketball and baseball, teeter-totter. But I think right now, until we get a national title in baseball, in my opinion, should be the second highest funded rev share program. That's just me, though.
Here's what I would say if I was the AD, is I would tell Norvell, look, you've got $50 million left on your buyout. I want $20 million of that, $20 million now earmarked for Florida State rev share NIL. If I don't get it, then we're cutting your sourcing almost off. And we're going to put all our money into basketball and baseball. We're going to give $10 million to each. And let Luke Louts have a chance to get to a Final Four. Let Link Jarrett, although baseball's so hard, man. You can't go. Yeah. It's really hard to buy a championship in college baseball. But even still.
Come on, LSU. Come on.
I would give them, they don't win it every year. Yeah. I would give those two the most money until one of them wins a championship. Or until Norvell gives me some money that he owes us. You've cost the university too much money, man. Give me that money back. And then we'll keep the faucet on. If not, good luck trying to put together a roster with $800,000 in NIL. Good luck. Hey, you're losing anyway, Mike. We're gonna waste our money on you. We're gonna give it to Luke to see if he can get a couple of NFL or NBA guards. But in all reality, I don't think that was a joke. Obviously, football is going to be the main. That's going to get the brunt, the majority of the money always, and it should. I just think these coaches have to know how the world works. Like you can't the golf, tennis, swimming, soccer, even By the way, have you been paying attention to the FSU soccer Twitter feed?
A lot of people getting drafted or something like that?
What's going on? Like every player on the team is signing a pro contract, including underclassmen. And I'm like, okay, did they just lose like their whole team? Because they only had a few seniors. But every day there's like two more young women, they're announcing two other players signing pro contracts. And I'm like, man, this is odd. So maybe that's the selling point that Penske will use is, look, we're not going to make you a ton of money here. You're not going to get paid a ton of money to play college soccer anywhere, but not at Florida State either. But give us 2 years and look where your future will be. You'll be getting a pro contract playing for Orlando or playing for Utah or playing overseas somewhere. So maybe that's what they use. But yes, I would like to give Link as much money as he needs. And I do think there should be a way that the more success you have, the more money you get, but that's not how it works. People, we all know that. It's probably how it should work, but it isn't. You give money to football because that's what most people pay to see. That's the big sport, and that's what you absolutely have to be good at. And basketball is second, baseball is third, softball fourth, probably. And in order of importance of, well, just going by attendance numbers and TV revenue numbers, those are the three. I don't know. Softball might outdraw baseball. I don't know. But it's definitely football and then men's basketball are the two most important sports from a financial standpoint.
Last one, Wake Factory. How long have they been around, Corey? Wow. This must be somebody that rebranded themselves. They've been around since December 2nd, 2004, over 15,000 posts.
Okay, all right. Wow, that is big news.
Yeah, don't recall seeing them around here.
Maybe they post on another board. Maybe they post on the locker room a lot.
Or the main board. Which is part of the whole on3warchant.com subscription, 50% off. Everybody, what you waiting for? Which route will be better for Florida State to pursue in a future coaching search? I love this, but by the way, I almost meant to abut this one with Noel Tickety's question about what if they win 8 games this year? What do you feel about 27? Sky's the limit, right?
Yeah.
Other people are like, all right, so when we get rid of this guy, what should we do on the next side? Should we hire a coordinator that could be had for less money, thus less costly to fire, or go after a bigger name, whether it's a coordinator or a head coach that will likely require another large guaranteed contract? Even if it takes multiple attempts to find the right one, I'm starting to think a less costly coordinator might be the smarter route in this world where rosters can be turned over every year. Although there might be huge pressure on the administration to not be perceived as getting cheap again at a critical time.
I mean, I would not care at all about that. You not being construed as cheap is the reason you're in this mess right now to begin with, because you went and paid a guy $60 million or $80 million to not go to Alabama. So that does not matter. I'm all for going and getting a coordinator if it's the right person, if they're coming from the right program. It would make it a lot easier if they were hip tied to a quarterback that I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, Oklahoma made the playoff, and look, John Mateer he didn't tank necessarily, but he wasn't nearly as good.
He petered out
at the end of the season. He also got hurt. Yeah. But the Arbuckle / Mateer hiring was huge for Venables. Might have saved his job. And now he didn't become the head coach, but if you could guarantee, Auburn's going to be in a better place this year with Golish / Byron Brown than they would have been with
Ashton Daniels
or bringing in a head coach that didn't have a quarterback tied to him.
All right,
you know what I mean? That's my next goal is like Oklahoma State. They got that kid.
Maker. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Some are all in Florida. He's not bringing anybody of consequence. So
I think his quarterback is going to be the Georgia Tech kid, right? The backup.
Yeah.
Who showed some real skill, but he was a backup. You don't know how good he's going to be. He might be awesome. He certainly looked. When I saw him, I was like, man, yeah, Georgia Tech's got 2 of these guys.
Florida
State's got none.
That's the OC hire. They might as well just hire Buster Faulkner to be the head coach then. But I get
But yeah, you're right. They brought the OC and got his quarterback too. So I just think that is one thing that you get in the college game that you don't get in the NFL. You might as well take advantage of it. If the Ravens hire, let's say, I don't know. Let me think. I can't even think of it. If the Ravens hire Sean McDermott to be their coach, Well, he doesn't bring Josh Allen with him. But what if he could? Everybody would be falling all over themselves to get McDermott. Well, you have that opportunity when you're hiring a head coach, depending on his relationship, or hiring a coordinator to be your head coach. If he's got a great young quarterback, go get him. It's worth it. Give him it's worth it. If you can go get yourself a quarterback. So that, to me, that is I don't care. I mean, obviously you want him to have won games. You want him to be a normal-ish person. You want him to be able to sell the program. But I want somebody that's tied to a quarterback for 2 more years. Guarantee me some immediate short-term success with a quarterback that people can get excited about. And then we'll go from there.
All right, man. There we go. Is headlines going down today?
Come on, man. Of course.
All
Are
right.
you crazy? Of course. Got to talk about the big game.
Ooh. 1 to 3 o'clock. Yeah, if you want Corey's take on the national title game, a few more hours. You can hear him and Ira and Jeff talk all about it and what's next ahead for Florida State. 1 to 3 o'clock on Warchant TV. That's our YouTube channel, which you should be subscribed to. It's absolutely free. Hit the thumbs up, YouTube viewers. I see you. I see you. Do it, please. 93.3 FM as well. If you're driving around Tallahassee and the greater Big Bend area, you can always listen to it on your radio. I do find, Corey, the sound quality just a little bit better if you're an audiophile. It's a little bit better on the over-the-air radio feed. Versus the maybe the podcast feed is good, but I think the YouTube feed, I should stop talking. I'm going to stop talking. One more show coming your way this week. It will not be a Friday program because I will be out of town, going bachelor party. Maybe we'll have some stories. Maybe we'll have some stories.
Man, we are going to have a good
week.
time in New York, Aslan. Where am I meeting you guys? You haven't told me yet.
Bring a jacket. It's going to be on Saturday. It's like a high of 18. High.
It's New York in January.
I know. I was hoping there'd be some random it's in the 40s this weekend. Like we just, the gods smiled down on me, but they don't smile down on rascals, on scoundrels like myself. But anywho, subscribe to warchant.com, 50% off that annual membership. Take advantage of it. Again, headlines 1 and 3 o'clock, warchant.com around the clock. Thanks for everyone's questions. Thank you for listening. He's Corey Aslan. It's been Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. CumminsLifestyle. Give it a follow on Instagram.